Peace, peace, peace. Check one, check two. Let me get myself together on YouTube. Just making sure the audio right. Give people a chance to get up in here if they choose to join. Let's see if we can get this bill started. So peace. Appreciate everyone who's viewing now or those who will be viewing in the future. My name is Brother Seneb, and I want to continue this immigration or colonization conversation and include some topics to kind of further the conversation and broaden the spectrum when it comes down to the overall treatment of our ancestors during this period, predating the Civil War and the subsequent years as we go into Reconstruction. In this immigration or colonization series, I started with the viewpoints of free Africans and the dealings with the American Colonization Society. Even before that, we speak about Paul Cuffey sailing, taking Africans to Sierra Leone and writing papers about them, giving us the opinion of the people and its populations. So there was already an idea of Black folks on their own wanting to immigrate elsewhere. We speak about the first color convention and how those men in that community decided it was time for a migration or immigration to Canada and establish settlements because of the terror they were experiencing in Cincinnati, for instance, the 1829-30 race riots, where those Eastern European populations, particularly Irish, were rioting and destroying Black property and prominent Black communities that were self-sustaining. And this is a trend that we see in New York, we see it in Boston, even forms of down south where these certain European groups in their battle for resources and jobs as they were immigrating here are going to battle almost with those newly emancipated Africans or that new flourishing Black community that's forming. Then, hopefully this bill, as we talk about the response to the nation's plans for immigration or colonization, we're going to see how, these men, the Black community, for instance, fought it. So again, we spoke about American Colonization Society. We spoke about those Black abolitionists, Henry Highland Garnett, John B. Wordsworth, Samuel Cornish, and their viewpoints. Even Martin Delany in his text, The Elevation of the Negro Race, paraphrasing the title, has a chapter in regards to American colonization, and they understood it as a scheme, a large majority of the Black population. And previously on New Black Knowledge video, we spoke about African or American, where even the forms of immigration, how that sort of split the community, particularly parts of the community that established communities here, honestly, neighborhoods, businesses, accumulated wealth, may have fought in some wars, family members may be still enslaved. And one thing we can say for sure about the early Black community, their efforts was mainly to ameliorate the community by way of liberating their fellow African from the peculiar institution of slavery. And as we speak about Lincoln, since he's in the title, he's seen as a hero to the Negro population based upon some of the laws and that he signed and proposals that was ultimately enacted. And we speak about 1861, beginning of the Civil War. We speak about the Confiscation Act of 61 that allowed the federal government to confiscate property, initially property meaning Negroes who were seen as enslaved. And how it grew the following year uh, before I get to the following year, but the Emancipation of Negroes in the District of Columbia. 1862, we see another confiscation act that pledges the rights to join militias for the suppression of the rebellion, and also that the federal government, upon catching those who were rebelling against the United States, had the ability, if they had slaves, to set them free. And the year 1862 was also important because later on in the year, because I view Lincoln as somewhat of an apologist, because he was willing to negotiate with those who dealt in flesh. Peace to Brother TK, Brother Vayasa. Again, please like, share, subscribe. I'm just building on and continuing the Emancipation and Colonization series. And I wanted to highlight in this particular bill the federal government's role and viewpoints and plans with regards to colonizing Negroes. So with Lincoln in this year of 1862, again, the Confiscation Acts, the Militia Act, now you're seeing black militia companies being risen. You're seeing the cry for the Negro to be able to participate in the suppressing the rebellion. So in my opinion, again, as a conciliatory or concession move by the Lincoln administration, they passed an act, and the act was designated to form a commission to investigate possible areas and places to send the Negro, particularly the free Negro, following his upcoming emancipation. And so let me see if I can get my screen shared. Put a link in the chat just in case anybody wanted to come on. But hopefully everyone can see my screen. Hope the sound is good. But here is a report from the 37th Congress. The report is of the Select Committee. Get my mouse over here. On Emancipation and Colonization with Independence, Washington, 1862. It reads, in the House of Representatives, July 16, 1862, resolved that 10,000 copies of the bill entitled An Act Giving the Aid to the United States to Certain States upon the Adoption by them of a System of Emancipation and to provide for the colonization of free Negroes, together with the report of the Select Committee, be printed in pamphlet for the House. Hope everybody can, yeah, I think it's showing good. So it says, Emancipation and Colonization to accompany Bill H.R. number 576. It says, the Select Committee appointed in pursuance of the resolution, April 7, 1862, to resolve the Select Committee to consist of 9 members, be appointed to inquire and report to this House, and act as early as practicable, whether any plan can be proposed and recommended for the gradual emancipation of all of the African slaves and the extinction of slavery in the states of Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Missouri by the people or local authorities thereof, and whether such an object is expedient and desirable. And remember, eventually with this Emancipation Proclamation only affected those states who were in secession. So if everybody's been paying attention to the things we've been going over these past few years, we know that states specifically like Kentucky, states like Maryland, 3 decades prior to the passage of this, were already participating in the process of colonizing the free Negro populations in their very own states, or their very own territories. So they already had an idea, of this process. And this committee that was, in Lincoln's policy, rather, was intended on doing that. So let's continue. And further, that they inquire and report whether colonization and such emancipated slaves on this continent or elsewhere is a necessary commencement of their freedom, and how and in what manner provision may be made thereafter, and may be further inquire and report how far and in what way the government of the United States can and ought to equitably to aid in facilitating either of the above objects, and that the committee be further authorized, if in their judgment the subject requires it, to extend the same inquiries as to the other slave-holding states and report thereon. So again, this is the Select Committee Report on the Emancipation and Colonization, and to which we have referred sundry memorials and petition on the subject of emancipation and colonization of African slaves. Also resolutions of the date of June 14, 1862, by the Convention of the State of Missouri on the same subject, excuse me. Also a special measures of the date July 14, 1862, from the President of the United States to the two houses of Congress, transmitting the draw of the bill in aid of gradual emancipations by states report. Now, this is a very long report, so 100 and some pages, but I do recommend you read it. If you're on the Discord, MBK Discord, the link will be in the chat. And if you bear with me for a second, I can go ahead and put the Discord link in the chat for you. And not to get too far off topic, but if you haven't yet joined the MBK Discord, I highly recommend it. It'll behoove you. There's a wealth of information on there, free information. You don't have to pay. There's groups tailored to majority of to the information that we talk about. Anyone can get it. You can go back and forth with the information. Social wars, Black history pages, the whole 9 yards. So again, it is truly a place where you can grab some quality information and have quality conversations. And so again, hit that link and join it. So we kind of spoke about the states initially that were in support of this idea of colonization and emancipation. And I want to kind of touch on them just so we can kind of get an idea. And one of those first states is Maryland. So if you don't mind, open up a tab with me, and we're going to search for Maryland in Africa. While we search Maryland in Africa, I'm about to show you. The Republic of Maryland was a country in West Africa that existed from 1834 to 1856, when it was merged into what is now Liberia. The area was first settled in 1834 by freed African-American slaves and freeborn African-Americans, primarily from the U.S. state of Maryland, under the auspices of the Maryland State Colonization Society. Hold on, I don't think that's big. Let me throw that up for you. The larger American Colonization Society was founded in 1816. It supported the settlement of thousands of free African Americans to their colony based in Monrovia in West Africa along the coast. There were also initially separate settlements founded by state colonization societies of Mississippi, Kentucky, Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Louisiana. In 1838, these African American settlements were united into the Commonwealth of Liberia, which declared its independence from the American Colonization Society on July 26, 1847. The Maryland colony remained separate from the Commonwealth, as the Colonization Society wished to maintain its trade monopoly in the area. On February 2, 1841, Maryland and Africa became an independent state of Maryland. Following an independence referendum in 1853, the state declared its independence in 1854 under the name Maryland and Liberia. Its capital is Harper. And, we spoke about went into Cape Palmas, which is one of their islands down the coast of Sierra Leone. I'll put this link in the chat for you. You can search that on your own time. And I want to show you this map here. Let's see if I can. I think everyone will see. And you see here, family, you see the Pennsylvania colony, New Georgia, Mississippi colony, Maryland colony. You see at the bottom where underneath Harper, you see Cape Palmas. That's one of the other areas that were maintained by the Maryland State Colonization Society. And, it's obvious that the Negroes who came from the Pennsylvania colony came from Pennsylvania. So we don't have to go too deep into that. But that's just a nugget for those who are interested. So we spoke about those states, those republics that go to Africa. But I also wanted to highlight the opposing viewpoints. The following month, following this select committee's report on emancipation and colonization, the men, colored people in Philadelphia had a response, and they also published an appeal that was forwarded to the president, and that appeal was from the colored men of Philadelphia to the president of the United States, and it was again written a month later in 1862. And it says, an appeal to the president, in the purity and goodness of your heart, as we have believed, through the willingness to serve the cause of humanity, you have been pleased to hold an audience with a committee of colored men, brothers of ours, kindred and race. The object was to acquaint them with the fact of the sum of money that had been appropriated by Congress for the purpose of colonization, a cause of which you were inclined to favor and dear to the hearts of many good men. Among the prominent reasons for colonizing us is one most common throughout our enslaved country, that of color. Admitting this distinction to be the greatest disadvantage to us, the cause of many tears and much anguish, as we pass along this rugged life of ours, yet we believe that most of this prejudice grows out of the institution of slavery. Again, it's the free Black population speaking, sending an appeal directly to the president, paying attention to politics and knowing what's going on around them. Peace, brother, true story. Let's see, let me continue here. Where is my mouse at? There we go. If, under an existing prejudice, adverse laws, and low degree of general education, a few become respectable and useful citizens, there is truly any hope for many. We pray for the more liberal and enlightened public policy. We regret the ignorance and poverty of our race. We find, however, in this great city of peril in the white and however degraded a part of us may be, there is, under circumstances surrounding each, a deeper degradation still. Let me see. We got pop off in here. Oh, yeah. Our fathers were not, of their own free will and accord, transferred to this, our native land. Neither have we, their descendants, by any act of ours, brought to this country to its present deplorable condition. If there is in any heart of any claimant by virtue of color and predominance a desire to persecute and oppress, no such unhallowed motives govern us. Let's see. We can find nothing in the religion of our Lord and Master teaching us that color is the standard by which he judges his creatures, either by his life nor the life in which to come. Again, this is them using their religious affiliation as a tool, because that was the majority of culture at the time, to sort of go at and detail the hypocrisy in the so-called white Christian Southern power structure. Let's continue. We know that the problem of American slavery has been a difficult one to solve. That statement hesitate, politicians ignore, and the people even now evade the serious reality of most bloody war caused solely by the dealers in our flesh. We have not sought such a solution, nor asked a sacrifice so great without being willing to drink from the same bitter cup. The blood of millions of our race cries from the ground while millions more are yet enslaved. And while we got the brother true story over here, let me use one of his, lines. Those involuntary associations became voluntary associations. Once that free African population began to form, it came under a similar idea of creating a community with a certain set of cultures. Those cultures came with standards. You dig what I'm saying? So this idea of, yes, we freed ourselves, we formed our own communities, and us asking to be left alone, which we'll see as the letter continues. Let me see. If statistics prove anything, then we will constitute, including our property qualifications, almost the entire wealth of the cotton states, and to make up a large proportion of that of others. Many of us in Pennsylvania have our own houses and other property amounting to the aggregate to millions of dollars. Shall we sacrifice this, leave our homes, forsake our birthplace, and flee to a strange land to appease the anger and prejudice of the traitors now in arms against the government? Or the aiders and abettors in this or in foreign lands? Will the country be benefited by sending us out of it and inviting strangers to fill our places? It's a heavy question. I know some people are suggesting some other people's are aiders and abettors, but it seems like black folks at that time are charging the government of being aiders and abettors. Will they make better citizens, prove as loyal, love the country better, and be as obedient to his laws as we have been? If God has so ordained it, we shall yet be free. In his providence, he may gather us together in states by ourselves and to govern us in accordance with his laws. Will the white man leave us alone when so gathered? It's an important question that would seemingly be answered in the subsequent years that led into Reconstruction, that led into Jim Crow, that led into civil rights movement. These communities that we created, the Haities, the Wilmingtons, the Deerfields, the Allensworths, the Tulsas that we created for ourselves, were we left alone? And the question is why? I'm free now. I have my own community. Why are you still effing with me? Where we at? They degrade us to the level of a brute. They amalgamate with our race and buy and sell their own children. They deny us, let me read that again. They degrade us to the level of brute. They amalgamate with our race and buy and sell their own children. They deny us the right to gain knowledge or hold property. Neither do they allow us to avail in our own industry. All right. Having set all laws, both human and divine, and not what does the just government owe them in return? Would it be too great a penalty to deprive them of the labor of their slaves and to compel them to earn their own sustenance by honest means, to permit us to be free, to enjoy our natural rights, and to have avails of our own industry, to live with what we have, our own, to live and have our own wives and children, something that was neglected and withheld from the black man in plantation life? To have the benefit of schools, the church, and society laws? We see here the school come first. They would have been better men and valuable citizens, to give the slave an opportunity to increase the wealth of people while he consumes the more of the world's products. All of this is too much to ask. We will reciprocate by increasing commerce and proving the world that we are worthy of being freedmen. And, this letter continues. This also is going to be in the Discord. The link of the Discord is in the chat. Again, it'll behoove you to click the link if you want access to any of the resources going forward that I show. The Discord is the way to gain access to it. And sign to continue just to finish this one out. We see some of the men here: Amy Sayers, John C. Bowers, William Cooper, Brother Jonathan Gibbs. Let me stop sharing my screen for a second. Appreciate everybody for coming through. Like, share, and subscribe. Let me see, I had something else to show. Put a link in the chat again. Not been clipped off. I don't know if that was you, Danny. If you're gonna come back in, link is in the chat. I'm gonna share this real quick. And I know we gonna probably say something because I ain't logged in, but put your channel on the Discord. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll put the channel on Discord. Let's see if I can make this bigger for you. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I want to take it somewhere else real quick just to get into some history stuff. So here is a newspaper article from the Charleston Daily Courier from October 4th, 1862. And again, those subsequent months following this committee report, and even in the report, which we'll get to here in a second, they were looking for certain areas. And one of these areas were found near Nicaragua, and this article sort of discusses it. It says, Northern News: the Costa Rican minister has entered into a formal protest against the president's proposed Negro colony in Central America. for the reason that Costa Rica's claims that all part of the Chiquiqui upon which it is intended to be found the colony of Lincolnia, and further that Mr. Pompoy's expedition is considered by the Central American representatives in Washington as a filibustering raid, a la Walker, and is therefore to be resisted by force if necessary. So, first, let's talk about filibustering for a second. So, when we think of filibustering, uh, first person that comes to your mind is a political movement, but it's also a military maneuver for filibustering. Open up the tab, if you will. I'll put this in the chat for you. So, a filibuster or freebooter in the context of foreign policy is someone who engages in an unauthorized military expedition into a foreign country or territory to foment and support a revolution. The term is usually used to describe a United States citizen who fomented insurrection in Latin America, particularly in the mid-19th century. Filibuster expeditions have also occasionally been used as a cover for government-approved deniable operations. Filibusters or irregular soldiers who normally act without official authority from their own government are generally motivated by financial gain, political ideology, or the thrill of adventure. The freewheeling actions of the filibusters of the 1850s led to the name being applied figuratively to the political act of filibustering in the United States Congress. Unlike a mercenary, a filibuster works for himself, whilst a mercenary leader works for others. So, the article, just to go back to give you a point of reference, pointed to a filibuster raid by Allah Walker. So, who is this Walker that they're talking about? So, if you open up the tab, we're going to look up a man by the name of William. Go back, Walker. This guy. William Walker was an American physician, lawyer, journalist, and mercenary who organized several private military expeditions into Mexico and Central America with the intention of establishing English-speaking colonies under his personal control, an enterprise then known as filibustering. Walker usurped the presidency of Nicaragua in July 1856 and ruled until May 1st, 1857, when he was forced out of the presidency and the country by the coalition of Central American armies. He returned in an attempt to reestablish control in the region and was captured and executed by the government of Honduras in 1860. Before I forget, I just have to highlight this author by the name of John Hope Franklin. And if you want to get an idea of the tone of the Southern white pro-military aggressive culture, get a joint by John Hope Franklin called The Militant South. It speak about the growth of military academies and sort of how, beginning in the 1830s, the South was really gearing for, in my opinion, and even, John Hope Franklin's opinion, war. With these, you see the more literary or classical education in the North, and more down South, you see a lot more military academies. And in that book, The Militant South, he really details a lot with the primaries about this guy, William Walker, and how he ran down in Nicaragua and even ruled for almost a year. And this idea of not only placing the Negro in form of Central America for the exporting of those resources. Remember those Chinquerie Islands in that same special committee report. Actually, if I still got to pull it up, they had reports on those islands or different places within the Caribbean or Central America where they could send the free Negro. So it was definitely for that financial gain of exploiting those resources. Even quote the Spanish and how Christopher Columbus and others were mining for minerals, centuries earlier, and getting those resources out of Central America. So let me stop sharing my screen. That was just a history point of order. So shoot, man. Let me see. Got anything to chat? Oh, let me put my channel in the Discord. Again, for those who are watching this video, will be watching this video in the future. I appreciate you tuning in. Please like and subscribe to the channel on all your social media apparatuses. Do me a favor and share the show. We in a rebuilding stage, so we're gonna make sure that information still gets out to the people. Still pay attention to the MBK social group Facebook page. Information gonna always flow out of there, and just keep paying attention to the channel. If you have any comments, concerns, we're trying to get the production value. As you can see, the StreamYard stuff is gone. Those logos there, and we definitely working sure on getting some more professional layouts and overlays for these videos, and even getting some kind of learning engines to kind of get the information out there. Or sort of like, I don't know if any of my network engineers or system administrators out there, but if you use, well, let me just recommend it. If you are in the IT field, I recommend you subscribe to a website called CBT Nuggets. CBT Nuggets is a online university repository for everything IT, Microsoft, Cisco, Palo Alto, Fortinet, Unix, Linux, Solaris, no matter what it is, you can find instructor-led classes. I believe it's $99 a month, $99 a month to get you just the class, and you can download the labs. If you pay, I think the premium package, you can get like Packet Tracer. You can download the network already pre-configured for you. Simulating the lab that would be on the test, and you can kind of work through it. So that's the kind of stuff I want to get for the build, just to have a little IT moment as well for all my IT folks out there. And speaking of IT, I'm gonna try to have something related to IT at least once a week. If you have any questions related to IT, leave a comment at this video. I'll try to create a way, maybe a group on the Discord for IT. I think there may even be a group for IT. I may just be lacking. So I'll go in there. If not, I'll make one, but I'll make sure to probably provide, articles, any advisories, similar to like right now, if you got a on-premise Exchange server, you need to go immediately and make sure your cognitive update is on point, and you get that new security update. If not, some 16-year-old in their basement is going to hack your Exchange server and make you ransom it for Bitcoin. So I'm going to try to have something like that on there as well. So again, I appreciate it. It's a continuation of the Immigration and Colonization series. I got more to come. Another book recommendation I got done with it a few weeks ago is I read it again actually, is Benjamin Quarles, Lincoln and the Negro. Lincoln and the Negro. Just like John Hope Franklin, if you don't know who Benjamin Quarles is, open up a tab right now, look him up. Lincoln and the Negro is very insightful, not just because I'm taking everything Benjamin Quarles say on face value. It's the fact that the resources and the references that Benjamin Quarles has in that text. So it's very, I'm telling you, a lot of this stuff is just right here. It's just that we're not reading it. So I'm going to throw the book recommendations I described in this build on the MBK social group so y'all can see what it look like. These two ones I showed are free. Those will be on the Discord for those who are interested. And just be on the lookout for more presentations. I may have something queued up for tomorrow night. Again, like, share, and subscribe. Share the show. Peace to that work. Bless up. Appreciate you for coming through. Again, just pay attention to the channel if you don't mind. I'll have some more stuff coming. Hope everyone be safe. Wear your mask. Wash your hands. And the motto will always be each one teach one. Peace.